King Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QNReview. That is @ CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
The Glasgow Times on Thursday the 25th of April 2024. From the news section. Exclusive. Archaeologists called in after mystery find on building site. This article was written by Kirsty Feerick and read by me, Corey. A huge mystery stone structure has been discovered on a site where new houses are being constructed in Barrhead. Archaeology teams are investigating the blonde sandstone circular piece of architecture which was unearthed during a £22.68 million project near Ars Road. Residents have expressed their shock at the find, which they believe is from the 18th century and was used as part of a fresh water filtration system. East Renfrewshire Council is now working with specialists to determine if it is of significance or if more structures exist below ground. Colin Cliff, 44, is a resident who lives near the structure and said a huge blonde sandstone circular structure from the 18th century has been unearthed. It was part of Barrhead's first fresh water filtration system, part of Balgrey and Gorbals' gravitational water system. I believe it was among the first of its kind in the world to provide fresh water. If the plans are to remove the structure, that would be very sad and costly. It should be cleared and used as a feature wall for the access to dams in Darnley Park, with a reference to its past use. Emma Wolfe, 45, also lives nearby and told Glasgow Times, "I think it's pretty amazing that it has stood the test of time under all the mud. Better building work than we get these days. A little bit of history is that it used to supply water to the village of Barrhead back in the day. It would be great just to be cleaned up and perhaps have a plaque acknowledging its history and how far we have come." An East Renfrewshire Council spokesperson said, "During recent excavation work to facilitate the Ars Road upgrade and improvement project, a buried structure was uncovered. The council has notified the West of Scotland Archaeological Service, WOSAS, and appointed an archaeology team to investigate what the structure is and whether it is of any significance. An archaeologist will also oversee further excavations to determine if any other structures exist below ground. Once investigations are complete, the council, the archaeology team, and the WOSAS will work together to agree a way forward." That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Kirsty Feerick and read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times on Thursday the 25th of April 2024. From the news section. Greggs has opened a new and improved store in Glasgow. This article was written by Ben Waddle and read by me, Corey. Greggs has opened a new and improved store in Glasgow, creating new jobs for the area. The bakery chain opened its new store on Anniesland Road in the city's Knightswood area today, Thursday, April 25th. The shop, which was previously located at 740 Anniesland Road, has relocated to a larger unit at 770 Anniesland Road. It will stock all of Greg's favourites, including sausage rolls, steak bakes, and vegan alternatives. As part of its opening, 2 new jobs have been created in the local area. The store opening times are Monday to Friday, 6:30am until 6:30pm, Saturday, 7am until 6:30pm, and Sunday, 7:30am until 6pm. Store manager Michael Mumford said, "We can't wait to welcome both Greg's fans and new customers to our brand new shop. We've got an amazing range of iconic savouries, fair trade hot drinks, hot food and healthier choices available for takeaway, sit-in or click and collect." Gillian Long, Retail Operations Director at Greg's, said, "We're excited to be welcoming customers to our new and improved store in Knightswood, with 2 new members joining the existing team. We look forward to providing customers with a modern, convenient new place to experience their Greg's favourites." That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Ben Waddle, and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times, on Thursday the 25th of April 2024. From the news section. Man in hospital with life-threatening injuries after crash. This article was written by Ben Waddle and is being read by me, Corey. A man is in hospital with life-threatening injuries after a horror crash near Glasgow. Police say they were called to the incident shortly after 5:30pm on Fern Drive in Barrhead. During the smash, officers say a Vauxhall Mocha collided with a property. Following it, 2 men aged 60 and 66 were rushed to hospital. The 60-year-old man has since been released, however, the 66-year-old man remains in hospital. Medics have described his condition as critical. Meanwhile, the 77-year-old woman driver of the car was uninjured. During the serious crash, the road was closed while police carried out investigation work. Now cops are appealing for anyone with information on the smash to come forward. Sergeant Sean Dempsey said, "I would like to appeal to anyone who was in the area at the time of the collision to contact us with any information. I would also ask anyone with doorbell cameras or dash cams to check their footage, as there may be images which could assist our investigation." A spokesperson for Police Scotland said, "Anyone with information is asked to call Police Scotland via 101, quoting incident number 2804 of April 24th, 2024. Again, if you have any information, contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 2804 of April 24th, 2024. That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Ben Waddle, and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times, on Thursday the 25th of April 2024. From the news section. Breaking. Tories to bring motion of no confidence in Humza Yousaf. This article was written by Stuart Patterson and is being read by me, Corey. Douglas Ross has announced he will lodge a motion of no confidence in Humza Yousaf as First Minister. The Scottish Conservative leader said he was making the move hours after the First Minister ended the Bute House Agreement, sacking Patrick Harvey and Lorna Slater as ministers. At First Minister's question time today, Ross branded Yousaf's leadership as weak and said his government had unravelled. He told the Scottish Parliament, "I can announce on behalf of the Scottish Conservatives I am lodging a motion of no confidence in Humza Yousaf. He, as a failed First Minister, has focused on the wrong priorities for Scotland and has governed on behalf of the SNP instead of Scotland and is unfit for office. Yusuf will now lead a minority government after he called time on the coalition deal with the Greens. The Greens membership were due to vote on whether to continue with the power-sharing deal, but Yusuf made the move to end it first today. The First Minister hit back at the Tories and said the public would judge them at the general election. He said, "The Conservatives are nothing if not predictable. There is an opportunity for the opposition to show what they are really made of. Do they want to govern in the national interest and collaborate or play political games?" He cited lifting 100,000 children out of poverty, removing peak rail fares and the council tax freeze as examples of helping people through a cost of living crisis. Yusuf added, "I'll leave it to Douglas Ross to play the political games. The electorate will give the Conservatives a almighty thumping at the general election." That article is from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Stuart Patterson, and it was read by me, Corey.
From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of April, from the news section. Concerns raised over battery storage site. Article by Ava White. Members of a local community council have raised concerns over a battery storage unit that could be built in Clydebank. On Tuesday, developer Intelligent Land Investments, ILI, Group held a pre-application consultation meeting at the Hub Community Centre to discuss plans for the proposed site at Braidfield Farm. The land is currently used as a horse paddock and falls under the Kilpatrick ward. The ILI Group proposes creating a 100 megawatt energy storage facility which would house containers of lithium-ion batteries and associated equipment such as access track to the site, electricity, meter building and fencing. The Glasgow Times went along to the event to find out more about the plans and to hear residents' views on them. John Haney, a member of the Linvale and Drumney Community Council, LDCC, told a reporter his main concern is security. He said, ILI Group is going to build a big fence around it and top that with barbed wire, but places like this have been broken into before. If you look at factories, they have all this equipment, fencing, CCTV cameras, etc., and still have staff patrolling them. How many people will this site employ at the end of the project? None. There's not going to be anybody on site. It will be totally monitored from another place that they couldn't tell me the location of. Nowadays, it could be somebody in London looking at a TV screen. How quickly will they be able to get someone here if people do manage to scale the fence or break through it? You could argue that the transporter site in Cochno doesn't have someone in sight all the time, but to be honest, I think it's the lithium-ion batteries that will attract people. It's actually going to be made up of cells, hundreds of cells in each of the containers. That might make some people think they can steal some of them. In its proposal titled the Braidfield Energy Storage Project, the ILI Group says it hopes this site will store excess energy from the grid, as well as put electricity back into it when required. The location is said to have been chosen as the land is located near the Kilbowie Grid Supply Point, GSP, and it's noted there are very few GSPs across Scotland that can accommodate this level of power. Mary McAleer, another member of LDCC, explained she is concerned about the potential traffic the site would generate whilst under construction. The 64-year-old said, "The traffic out there on Great Western Road is busy enough as it is. How are they going to get trucks into the site? It's a farm road. I feel that it is going to ruin the scenery and disrupt the wildlife. It's far too close for comfort and we don't want it." At Tuesday's event, the ILI Group presented various drawings of the proposed project site, layout, energy storage units, substation and fencing. It is understood trucks will access the site by turning off the Kilbowie Road onto Strathdee Avenue and then turning right onto Braidfield Road. The Hamilton-based company also confirmed that the site will be remotely monitored via security cameras and will not be manned. The project plans to have not yet been submitted to the Scottish Government. However, it is understood this will be done in the coming months. This is now the second proposed battery storage unit in Clydebank. In 2023, green energy firm Apatura launched plans for a battery storage farm in Faifley on the outskirts of the town. This proposal has been submitted to the Scottish Government and the process remains ongoing. And the article was by Ava White. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of April, from the news section, Green MSP bursts into tears on radio. This article is unattributed. A Scottish Green Party MSP has broken down in tears on BBC Radio Scotland following the First Minister's decision to end the Butte House Agreement. Gillian Mackay, MSP for Central Scotland, spoke on the 5:10pm BBC Scotland Drive Time radio show yesterday with host Johnny Beattie, where she said Humza Yousaf's reason to end their 2.5-year agreement was as clear as mud. She told the host the First Minister was essentially saying you're dumped but can we still be friends, and that she does not know that this holds water, especially for someone who is supposed to be leading the country. She added, Humza has done this to himself in removing us from government. There is a lot of hurt and upset around. Host Mr. Beattie asked her if an apology from Mr. Yousaf would be welcome. She replied, I think it's a bit late for that. He needs a time machine to go back and undo the decision he made yesterday morning. There is still no logical reason coming from the First Minister as to why he made that decision. He has shot himself in the foot, now saying he wants to collaborate with everyone on an issue-by-issue basis, and thinks we are all game-playing around votes of no confidence. He had an agreement that protected ministers from votes of no confidence. He ended that. His argument that the agreement has run its course is clear as mud. When Mr. Beattie said the Green MSP sounded bitter in regard to Mr. Yousaf's decision, she broke down in tears. I'm actually quite upset, she said, and a lot of people will have seen me being upset. We've had 2.5 years of working really well together, and it's sad that this has all been undone by one person. And the article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of April, from the opinion section. Letters to the editor. Our politics are in a shambles. The SNP government is on a downward spiral. For all the good, there have been too many failures. Confidence from the public is at an all-time low. Independence voters let down with constant misinformation about the reality of a legal route towards another referendum. Most disappointing thing is, Labour and the Tories are presenting themselves as the worst opposition in a generation. Kevin Ross. It's difficult for Douglas Ross to suggest a vote of no confidence when his own professional confidence has been described by his political masters at Westminster as, checks notes, lightweight. It's difficult also for Anas Sarwar to suggest a vote of no confidence when Keir Starmer ignores pretty much everything the Scottish Labour want, including immediate Gaza ceasefire, stop selling arms to Israel, 2-child benefit cap, employment law devolved to Scottish Parliament. The list goes on and on. Meanwhile, SNP remain the closest party to the Greens, and to that end it is best that SNP continue to hold power as Scottish Labour and Scottish Tory politicians just sell their soul to Westminster as their voting record shows. James Hamilton. We should have Scottish parliamentary elections where the leader of the ruling party changes, despite when that so-called leader has been so incompetent in previous jobs. It seems like he's trying to destroy Scotland completely, just like the Tories are destroying the whole UK. They're just the tartan Tories. It's a competition to see who's most corrupt and incompetent. Paul Craig. And that was today's letters to the editor. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of April, from the news section. Man caught with UVF flag during Loyalist walk. Report by Connor Gordon. A man was caught with an Ulster Volunteer Force flag while he participated in an orange walk. Matthew Buchanan, 45, was snared with the flag in Glasgow's Denniston on July the 1st last year. The city's Sheriff Court heard that the officers were at a procession which took place on Duke Street around 4 p.m. Officers were requested to approach the marchers in relation to someone being spotted with the flag of a proscribed organisation. Prosecutor Louise James said, "Officers walked along the path and they saw Buchanan in possession of a flag draped over his back. There was symbolism of the Ulster Volunteer Force, which is a proscribed organisation, as well as the lettering UVF. Officers stopped Buchanan of Paisley, Renfrewshire, and removed the flag. He was cautioned, and then replied, 'I didn't know I wasn't allowed to have it. I purchased it from a street vendor in Glasgow Green earlier today.' Buchanan pleaded guilty yesterday to carrying and displaying a flag with symbolism and initials of the UVF in such a way or in circumstances as to arouse reasonable suspicion that he was a member or supporter of the organisation." Darren Kurasani, defending, told the court, "He shouldn't have had it and didn't know he shouldn't have had it, but that is not an excuse. He apologises for having it." Sheriff Thomas Ward fined Buchanan £420 and Mr Kurasani asked if his client, who is unemployed, could pay back £20 per month. The sheriff replied, "No, it cost him more to buy the flag." The lawyer then agreed that Buchanan will pay £40 per month. And the article was by Connor Gordon. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of April, from the news section. Social enterprise recognised for workplace efforts. This article is unattributed. A social enterprise based in Bishopton has been given a prestigious award for providing employment to veterans. Scotland's Bravest Manufacturing Co., SBMC, was presented with a King's Award for Enterprise for promoting opportunities. The award recognised its work over 5 years to provide jobs to disadvantaged veterans and actively promote disability employment in Scotland. Veterans and people with disabilities manufacture the road, rail and commercial signage for Scotland's infrastructure, as well as public and private bodies. The firm was presented this week with the award, a written royal grant of approval, and a commemorative crystal by the Lord Lieutenant of Renfrewshire, Colonel Peter McCarthy. James Smith, a signmaker at SBMC, said, "I served in the armed forces when I was injured in 2010. I lost my legs and had to recover from that. I married, had a couple of kids and was stay-at-home father for 5 years. I was struggling with getting back to work and not wanting to embarrass myself. I heard about the job at SBMC and started on a temporary contract. It's a great place to work, and I've learned a lot about myself and done things I didn't think I could do with the injuries I have. I'm looking forward to working here for many years." And the article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of April, from the news section. SWG3 given warning after teens bought drugs in club. Report by Drew Sandilands. 2 teenagers who attended events at Glasgow's SWG3 club before their deaths had taken drugs bought in the venue, the city's licensing board heard. Scott Allison and Marcus Dick, both 18, died in August last year after visiting the premises, and an 18-year-old woman died in January. SWG3 was warned by the licensing board yesterday after Police Scotland reported drug and search policies did not appear to be fully followed on the night of the August event. A Police Scotland representative said the 2 18-year-olds, who had attended the event separately, were searched on entry and no drugs were found. Scott Allison took unwell after leaving the event and later died in Monklands Hospital. Friends advised police there were sold drugs in the premises, and the deceased consumed a quantity of pills believed to be ecstasy. Marcus Dick became unwell when leaving the venue and was taken to the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, where he died. The officer said it had not been established where this person sourced the drugs from. However, a post-mortem revealed very high levels of MDMA and cocaine within their system. The person's friends were of the belief he had taken drugs at the event, the police report added. Board members heard how the Eastfield Place venue's drug and search policies were found to be very detailed and sufficient by Police Scotland, but did not appear to be fully followed on the night of the August event. A police review found that a few anomalies that required to be tightened up in SW3's procedures. However, it added that it had gone above and beyond in many ways. Police were told by the venue's management that if the customers were found with a small amount of drugs and passed an attitude test, they were permitted entry. The drugs would be disposed of in front of them. Bob Javaheri, Operations Director at SWG3, said the attitude test, which is no longer in place, had been used with the hope of affecting change in that person. He said an impressionable 18-year-old with a single pill would have had it confiscated and would be given a telling by security. Officers told staff to start implementing a zero-tolerance approach in relation to persons attempting to enter with drugs and make sure they are properly logged. According to the police report on January the 1st, relating to the deaths of the 18-year-old woman, a friend had purchased 2 pills from an unknown person within the premises, which they both took. Staff later noticed she appeared to be unwell and were informed initially that the person was suffering from a diabetic hypo. They were later told the person had taken a pill believed to be ecstasy. Following treatment on site, the woman was transported to hospital via ambulance and admitted to intensive care. She died on January the 4th. Police Scotland was not made aware of the incident until that date. Management believed ambulance control would notify the police. The board ruled that in future, if anyone is taken by ambulance from the premises to hospital, SWG3 must tell Police Scotland at the time. Peter Lawson, representing SWG3, said the deaths were an absolute tragedy and a terrible loss. He said, "I would urge you not to suspend, vary or even revoke this licence. My clients are running a nationally important venue. They have made it as safe as they possibly can, but I can guarantee to you that they will continue with their efforts to ensure the welfare of their customers remains at the heart of this operation." Drugs were also found by security staff and police during searches at club nights on December the 2nd, February the 10th, February the 17th and March the 9th. A number of people have been charged in relation to these discoveries. Police have inspected the venue on 25 occasions since August 13th and identified no issues. The reported staff have been cooperative and helpful, and the premises has a robust drugs policy in place which is now being fully followed and complied with. At the hearing yesterday, board members decided against suspending or revoking the venue's premises licence, instead opting for a warning. And that article was written by Drew Sandilands. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of April, from the news section, utility firm makes solar request. Scottish Water is seeking permission to add solar-powered carports for electric vehicles at its offices and steps. The utility company has submitted a planning application for 8 solar-powered carports featuring around 2,000 solar panels at its office The Bridge, which opened in 2013. Technical drawings show that each port would have solar panels mounted on an overhead rack. The application also includes a motor control centre kiosk. The office building already makes extensive use of renewable energy systems, such as it features a biomass boiler, 12 kilowatts in solar panels and a 20 kilowatt solar thermal system. When it opened, it was considered the most environmentally friendly building of its kind in Europe. For further information on this planning application, visit North Lanarkshire Council's website and search for reference number 24/00356/FUL. Climbing stairs helps people live longer lives. Climbing stairs instead of using the lift is associated with a better heart health and a longer life, scientists say. New research suggests regularly taking the stairs is linked to a 24% reduced risk of dying from any cause and a 39% lower likelihood of dying from heart disease. The scientists said the findings, presented at the European Society of Cardiology's Preventive Cardiology Conference in Athens, Greece, indicate that even short bursts of activity, such as stair climbing, could cut the risk of premature death. Dr. Sophie Paddock of the University of East Anglia said, "If you have the choice of taking the stairs or the lift, go for the stairs as it will help your heart. Even brief bursts of physical activity have beneficial health impacts, and short bouts of stair climbing should be an achievable target to integrate into daily routines." Physical inactivity is associated with 1 in 6 deaths in the UK, according to a report compiled by the Office for Health Improvement and Disparities. And those articles were unattributed.
From Glasgow Times, Friday, 26th of April, Lifestyle section, Asda confirms changes to reward scheme for shoppers by Molly Court. Asda has announced a change to its reward schemes, which has left shoppers claiming they will be shopping elsewhere. The supermarket revealed, as of yesterday, April the 25th, customers who shop in store with their Blue Light card will receive less money off some items. The Blue Light card was first introduced in the UK back in 2008 and offers more than 15,000 discounts on many brands for members of the emergency services, NHS, social care sector and armed forces. People can save money on anything from a coffee to a new car. But Asda has confirmed those who have a Blue Light card will now receive 5% instead of 10% of fresh food, including meat, fish, fruit and veg, fresh fruit juice, smoothies, dairy and bakery, reports The Sun. This was put in place from 8 a.m. on Wednesday, April the 24th. However, Blue Light cardholders will see 5% in their Asda Rewards cash pot. Plus, Blue Light cardholders will still have access to exclusive Asda Rewards offers. This starts with a competition where shoppers with a Blue Light card can win up to £100 in their cash pots every day they shop and spend £5 until May the 27th, 2024, according to The Sun. An Asda spokesperson told the publisher, Asda has worked with the Blue Light card since 2022 and we have saved Blue Light workers millions on their shopping in that time. We are now introducing new and exclusive ways for cardholders to boost their Asda Rewards cash pots, as well as offering 5% back in cash pots on fresh food purchases. Reacting to the new changes for Asda Blue Light card shoppers, one person wrote on X, formerly Twitter, "As already stated, I'll now be shopping elsewhere. Can make bigger savings this way as Asda are now increasingly expensive for day-to-day items." Another added, "Shocking to be honest. Changed from 10% off to 10% cashback and rewards on selected items, now down to 5% or even less. With over $1 billion in profits, shame on you at Asda, lost my custom." This account posted, "Good while it lasted, off to find a new shop. Any suggestions? I had fully switched to Asda when the Blue Light deal originally started. It's been tapered down to practically nothing, so I'm going back to Aldi. It's a shame because the 10% off was a big help," shared this user. That article was written by Molly Court. From Glasgow Times, Friday, 26th of April, Lifestyle section, Facebook and Instagram travel insurance scam warning by Joshua Cyril. Brits are being warned of travel insurance scams ahead of the summer holidays. Consumer champion Which is alerting anyone travelling abroad this summer to be aware of the scams circulating on social media platforms. Adverts on Facebook and Instagram are promising free travel insurance for those over 55 as part of a new government initiative. These are scam adverts, and the government are not offering any free travel insurance promotions. Which warns, these ads are a con to get you to part with your personal data and financial information. You can report scam ads on social media by selecting the 3 dots in the top right corner and pressing report. phishing websites can be reported to the National Cyber Security Centre. Tesco customers have been targeted by the phishing email scam, which claims to offer shoppers the chance to claim a £500 gift card. However, following the links in the email will take victims to a malicious survey website which asks you to answer questions. The questions will reveal your personal and financial information, which can then be used to steal your identity. If you receive the scam email, you should not click on any links. You can report the email by forwarding it to report@phishing.gov.uk, and phishing websites can be reported to the National Cyber Security Centre. A warning from Tesco said, using fake emails to get hold of someone's personal details is called phishing. You might receive an email that looks real as though it's from Tesco, but it may ask you for personal information that we would never ask for. The email is most likely fake if it asks you for passwords, club card number, date of birth, or banking details. Some fake emails may ask you to click a link to another website. If you're unsure about the email in the first place, it's best to delete it. Remember, we'll never ask you for personal information in an email unless you've contacted us first and we're replying to you directly. We will never ask you for your password. That article was written by Joshua Searle.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 29th of April. Asda issues an urgent warning to all shoppers over a £250 voucher scam. An article written by Joshua Searle. Asda shoppers have been warned to be wary of a new scam offering them £250 vouchers at the supermarket. The scam, widely circulating on social media sites such as Facebook, is promising £250 in Asda vouchers to children enrolled in school and asks parents to apply for them ahead of a deadline. Asda has confirmed that the posts appearing in local area groups, buying and selling pages and other community groups are a scam. A spokesman said no such voucher was on offer and the post should not be interacted with. They told The Sun, "It's been brought to our attention that there are a number of scam posts on social media advertising Asda vouchers. These unassociated posts have been reported to Facebook and we're working hard to have them removed. We encourage all customers to be careful before entering anything online that isn't connected to an official Asda account or an official Asda website." Tesco customers are also being targeted by a phishing email scam, which claims to offer shoppers the chance to claim a £500 gift card. However, following the links in the email will take victims to a malicious survey website, which asks you to answer questions. The questions will reveal your personal and financial information, which can then be used to steal your identity. The scam email offers shoppers the chance to claim a £500 gift card. If you receive the scam email, you should not click on any links. A warning from Tesco said, using fake emails to get hold of someone's personal details is called phishing. You might receive an email that looks real, as though it is from Tesco, but it may ask you for personal information that we would never ask for. The email is most likely fake if it asks you for passwords, club card number, date of birth, or banking details. Some fake emails may ask you to click a link to another website. If you're unsure about the email in the first place, it's best to delete it. Remember, we will never ask you for personal information in an email unless you've contacted us first and we're replying to you directly. We will never ask you for your password. An article written by Joshua Searle. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 29th of April. Council to hire more gritters to boost this year's winter maintenance programme. An article written by Jack Thompson. Renfrewshire Council will hire a handful of gritters to boost its winter maintenance programme after a deal was given the green light by elected members. A contract for the hire of the 5 vehicles was approved by the local authority's Finance, Resources and Customer Services Policy Board. An agreement, which is worth in excess of £470,000, will now be signed with industry-leading manufacturer Econ Engineering. I wonder what their names will be, Councillor John Shaw, board convener and SNP representative for Renfrew North and Bray Head, quipped at the meeting. A report to the board explained Renfrewshire Council has a requirement for the hire of 5 18-tonne gritters for a period of 3 gritting seasons to assist with the council's winter gritting programme. Renfrewshire Council's Environment, Housing and Infrastructure Service has a statutory obligation to have gritters in place to assist with the council's winter gritting programme. This contract will support the council's current fleet in order to carry out the winter gritting programme, therefore ensuring roads within the council's responsibility are managed and maintained and are safe during the winter months. The starting date for the contract is expected to be September the 18th this year, running until April the 14th, 2027. However, the date will be confirmed in the council's letter of acceptance to Econ Engineering. Community benefits were requested as part of the procurement process and have formed part of the agreement. These include 5 work experience placements for those aged 16 and over who are not currently in employment, education or training. The report said the contract value will be met from the Council's Environment, Housing and Infrastructure Revenue budget. It added that the deal will ensure all roads managed and maintained by the local authority are done so to the highest possible standards during the winter months. An article written by Jack Thompson. Glasgow Times, on Monday the 29th of April. Lifestyle. Meet the Clydebank-born Northern Lights guide working in Lapland. An article written by Aidan MacDonald. Clydebank is not usually somewhere associated with catching a glimpse of the Northern Lights. However, the phenomenon could be viewed last week in the town and across Scotland due to strong solar storms. Craig Phillips, who works as a Northern Lights guide in Sweden, is used to seeing the display on a regular basis. Born in Clydebank, he moved to Luleå in the north of the country in 1999 after previously studying there as part of an engineering exchange programme from the University of Strathclyde. And he explained where his fascination with the Aurora Borealis began. He said, "I've always had an interest in the Northern Lights since watching them with my father during family holidays in the Highlands when I was young. The skies were always darker in the Highlands than in Clydebank, so it was always easier to spot them. I was enthralled from that moment on." What originally started as a hobby soon turned into a career, and he now leads coachloads of tourists from all over the world each year in an attempt to catch the show in the sky. He uses a combination of special apps, as well as the weather forecast and local knowledge, to increase the chances of spotting the Northern Lights. Luleå is located on the Arctic Circle and is one of the best places in the world to watch the Aurora Borealis. And tourists also get to hear about the mythology of the lights around the campfire while drinking warm drinks. When my family from back home were visiting, it would always be natural for me to be their guide for the Northern Lights, he continued. I became good at it and made sure to study what was needed to understand the occupation. People are always impressed when they see it for the first time. The passion is always there, even though I've seen the Northern Lights many times. When I'm off duty, I will watch them myself. Craig was delighted at so many people back home being able to see the lights recently. He explained the unique way he likes to watch the Northern Lights when his friends or family come to visit. The lights you see in Scotland are very different to those we see in the Arctic Circle, he added. They're lower in the sky over Scotland, whereas in Lapland they are above our heads. I build an igloo every year when the lights are visible. It takes a lot of time to construct. When I have visitors over, I bring sleeping bags as well as camping mattresses, so we can be comfortable while watching the showcase. An article written by Aidan MacDonald. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 29th of April. Mother campaigns for a law change after an attack causes late-term miscarriage. An exclusive article written by Amanda Keenan. A heartbroken mum who lost her baby after suffering horrific domestic violence is calling for an urgent change to the law. Gemma Marshall endured the unimaginable pain of losing her daughter Layla Rose at 19 weeks after suffering a placenta abruption following a brutal attack. The courageous 25-year-old has bravely waived her right to anonymity to share her trauma with the Glasgow Times in a bid to help others facing a similar plight and to make lawmakers aware of the need for reform. Gemma says she felt robbed of justice after her attacker, who we're unable to name for legal reasons, was jailed for just 9 months. She now wants tougher legal guidelines which will demand the imposition of longer prison sentences when violence leads to a later term miscarriage. She said, "I've been left with a life sentence through the loss of my baby, all while my attacker got off lightly. He's never shown an ounce of remorse for what he did, while I had to give birth to my daughter, knowing that she was already gone. I'll never get over the pain he put me through, will never forget how he attacked me, knowing I was pregnant, as I begged him to stop. I will never erase the memory of how he just kept raining punches and kicks on me." Gemma described the night her assailant carried out the attack and how its aftermath has changed her life. She explained, "He arrived at my home with 2 knives, and I genuinely feared for my life. I was pregnant at the time, and I lost my daughter shortly after. I grieve for her every single day. I was so excited to be having another child and had so many hopes and dreams for her future, but it was all taken away in an instant. I can never forgive what he's done. My beautiful baby girl should be here growing up with her siblings instead of being in a tiny pink coffin." The thug was locked up after pleading guilty to assault and being in possession of 2 knives when the case was called at Glasgow Sheriff Court late last year. Gemma has now set up a petition which she hopes to take to Holyrood, calling for stricter penalties for domestic abuse which leads to the miscarriage of a child. Over 3,000 people have already backed her campaign, which she hopes can reshape the law. She said the people who govern our courts must recognise that domestic abuse can result in tragic consequences beyond physical harm to the mother. It can also cause late-term miscarriages. These cases should be treated much more seriously, not simply as another instance of domestic violence. I'm calling on lawmakers to acknowledge this dreadful anomaly in our legal system and enforce stricter penalties on those whose violent actions result in the death of an unborn child. By doing so, we can ensure that stories like Layla's lead to tangible change and provide justice for victims of such heartbreaking circumstances. Gemma, who's from Glasgow, explained how she's been forced to temporarily relocate her whole life to keep herself and her family safe. She added, "I feel my daughter was let down by the system and I'll never have any sort of real justice for her. I don't want another mum to suffer that same pain. It's time for change. Since the attack, I've had to flee my home because of the fear that he will come back looking for me when he's released. I have nightmares about what happened and there will never be any closure for me. I live with this day in and day out. The trauma of what I went through will never go away, and I feel broken by what happened. But if I can use that agony to change the law, at least some sort of positive will have come from all of this." The devastated mum told how she was able to spend 3 precious days with Layla, thanks to the kindness of hospital staff who provided a cold cot and memory box. Gemma's home is filled with photographs and special mementos of the tiny daughter who never got a chance at life. She says the heartbreaking memory of Layla's funeral will haunt her forever. She adds, "Knowing she won't get to grow up with her brothers and sister is what gets me the most. She was robbed of her future, but she will never be forgotten. She will always live in our hearts. I want people to know Layla's name and how much she meant to me. I'm determined to keep fighting for change in her name, and I'm so grateful that I got to spend 3 days in the hospital with her. Just to hold her and cuddle her meant the world to me. I think giving birth to a baby that you know has taken their last breath in your womb is one of the hardest things a woman can ever experience. When she was born, she looked so perfect, like she was just sleeping. I'll never forget how angelic she looked, and I'll keep on fighting, Not just for Layla, but for every other baby who lost their life because some brute thought he had the right to lift his hands. It's time for change. An exclusive article written by Amanda Keenan. Glasgow Times News on Monday, the 29th of April. City raises £2.5 million during Kilt Walk. An article written by Esther Tarnay. A record-breaking number of volunteers walked the Glasgow Kilt Walk yesterday. More than 14,100 people took part in the event starting at Glasgow Green, collecting money for 900 charities. Participants raised £2.5 million in donations so far, with fundraising efforts continuing for 2 more weeks. Sir Tom Hunter, Judy Murray and STV's Laura Boyd and Ewan Petrie were at the start to wave off 7,500 mighty striders who walked the 22.6 miles to the scenic Mossaballach Park at Loch Lomond. Another 4,000 heroes trekked the 14 miles from Three Queens Square in Clybank to Ballach, and 2,600 kilt walkers took on the 3-mile Wee Wonder from Loch Lomond Shores to Mossaballach Park. Sir Tom Hunter said, "Kilt Walk is quite simply the easiest way to raise money for a charity that you care about. Today, in Glasgow, we raised more than £2.5 million for 900 different Scottish charities. We have more than 14,000 people taking part because it's easy to do and offers incredible value for money. You pay a small amount to walk and everything you raise goes to the charity of your choice. It's staggering. Since the Hunter Foundation got involved over 8 years ago, more than 166,000 kilt walkers have helped raise more than £46 million for 3,500 different Scottish charities. Everyone who took part has a story, and every community in Scotland has a deserving cause." An article written by Esther Tarnay. Glasgow Times News on Monday, the 29th of April. Thousands of Glasgow roads set to have their speed limit cut to 20 miles an hour. An article written by Drew Sandilands. Thousands of roads in Glasgow are set to have the speed limit cut from 30 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour under a plan to create safer streets. A consultant employed by Glasgow City Council has proposed reducing the limit on 3,868 streets across the city. After assessing over 5,700 streets, it's also been recommended that all 1,400 streets with a 20-mile-an-hour limit should now remain at that speed. A 30-mile-an-hour limit could be kept on 472 roads under the proposal. Introducing a citywide 20-mile-an-hour speed limit was approved by councillors in 2020. The council's road safety plan commits to introducing the limit on the majority of roads by 2030. Councillor Angus Miller, the city's convener for climate and transport, said, "A citywide 20-mile-an-hour speed limit will bring Glasgow in line with many other UK cities and help to create safer streets and communities for all of us, reducing the risk of accidents and the severity of injuries sustained. Reducing the impact of traffic on communities will also contribute to the wider shift needed towards more sustainable forms of transport, which is vital if we are to achieve our target of Glasgow becoming carbon neutral by 2030. Almost £2.5 million was awarded to the council by charity Sustrans and Transport Scotland in 2020 to support the implementation of the limit. The council agreed to contribute £2.1 million in February 2022. In November last year, a consultant was appointed to analyse the city's road network and identify which streets were suitable for a speed limit change. All roads with 20 and 30 mile-an-hour limits were assessed. Factors such as the location of schools, homes, shops, community centres and health services were taken into consideration. Councillor Miller said, "We know that many other cities have a 20 mile-an-hour speed limit, and the evidence that's been gathered shows a minimal impact on the journey times for cars and buses. Reduced speed limits on local roads can help create a safer environment for children and other vulnerable road users, while encouraging more people to walk, wheel and cycle." He added, moving to 20 miles an hour is a technically complex undertaking, and the council has been working with national partners to identify the best mechanisms to take this work forward. Now that the roads assessment is complete, the necessary legal, technical and logistical work required to implement the new 20 mile an hour speed limit can start. We'll also be engaging with stakeholders and will continue to raise awareness of the mandatory speed limit to encourage drivers to lower speeds in line with a new limit. In an update to councillors, officials have said they are now procuring a consultant to assist with progressing the next key steps, including confirming funding with Transport Scotland. Officials added that the Welsh model of changing the national default limit from 30 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour was rejected after consideration by the Scottish Government. This means that local authorities will be required to change speed limits on a local basis. There are many more roads which will need to be changed to 20 miles an hour than would have been needed to be changed back to 30 miles an hour if the default limit had been changed, as in Wales. The scale of this exercise will mean that the process will take longer. The rollout in Glasgow is expected to be undertaken on a zonal basis rather than all-in citywide implementation. Dates for delivery will be finalised following completion of the technical design. Speed limit orders will be promoted for each zonal area. These can take between 12 and 18 months to complete. The final cost for the rollout has yet to be confirmed. An article written by Drew Sandilands. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 29th of April. Worst areas for pothole damage in the city are revealed. An article written by Stuart Patterson. Compensation claims for damage caused by potholes have been made from every council ward. The amount of damage to cars can be estimated at almost £500,000 in the last year. As part of a new Glasgow Times Investigate series, we're looking at the issues that matter to people in the city. On day 2 of our series on potholes, we revealed the areas with the most claims for damage, such as burst tyres and mechanical repairs like shock absorbers and suspension. Information shared with the Glasgow Times showed that there were 1,848 claims across Glasgow last year and more than 5,000 over the last 4 years. The average of claims paid out was £243, so 1,848 at that rate would be £449,064. The council ward with the most applications for compensation was Govan, with 201. Greater Pollock was second with 157, Anderson, City and York Hill had 151 and Denniston had 130. Victoria Park was the 5th highest with 115. In Govan Ward we visited Woodville Street in Ibrox, where the road has deteriorated so much that the old cobblestones underneath are clearly visible in large patches. The road is busy with cars and commercial traffic, with a number of businesses along its length. 2 large potholes on either side of the junction with Copeland Road are also causing cars to swerve to avoid being damaged. Unlike the broken, tarred road, the cobbles appear to be in good condition. One crater measured 60 centimetres by 49 centimetres and was around 10 centimetres deep at its worst point. In nearby Orkney Street, another pothole was 7 centimetres deep with large broken stones inside the hole. In the city centre, a pothole in Howard Street near St Enoch Square is causing buses and taxis to drive around it. Javid Iqbal, a business owner of a shop right next to it, said he reported it but with no satisfaction. Mr Iqbal said, "I reported the big pothole outside my shop via the council app. They replied to me saying it's not dangerous and no action will be taken. I've seen a few tyres burst because of this pothole and even one bus tyre burst, making a very loud noise. The hole is 150 centimetres at its longest point and 110 centimetres wide. There is another right next to it measuring 10 centimetres by 52 centimetres. Together they're more than half the length of a Glasgow Hackney taxi." A spokesperson for Glasgow City Council said on the streets highlighted above, These locations are in line for maintenance in accordance with our inspection and repairs policy, which prioritises the most serious faults for repair. The data from Govan shows only 3 claims were accepted and paid out on. These compensation claims totalled £435. 5 were rejected, and there are still 193 current claims in the area. Taking the citywide average payout of £213, that works out at repairs worth £42,174 that motorists have forked out for in the Govan ward alone. Across the city, the 1,741 claims either repudiated or outstanding from 2023-2024 would work out at £423,063. The council said potholes can appear suddenly at any time and are caused by environmental factors such as volume of traffic, ice and rain. It said it has a system of road safety inspections and repairs that tackles the most dangerous faults as a matter of priority and encouraged people to report potholes. On the number of claims, the spokesperson added, all claims are determined on the individual merits of each case and in the context of our road safety inspection and repairs policy, which is based upon national guidance. The presence of a pothole does not automatically mean negligence on behalf of a roads authority. An article written by Stuart Patterson.
From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 30th of April, from the news section. Driver congratulated police for catching him. Report by Conor Gordon. A banned driver told police officers they deserved a promotion after catching him in a high-speed pursuit. Barry McClymont, 38, raced off from officers after striking their vehicle in Glasgow's Royston on February the 6th. McClymont, who was serving a 9-year disqualification, went more than double the speed limit and through a red light. He also repeatedly drove on the wrong side of the road. McClymont was later chased on foot by police officers after he drove into a park in the city's Royston. After he was picked up, McClymont remarked, "You deserve a promotion for catching me." McClymont pleaded guilty at Glasgow Sheriff Court to dangerous driving and driving while disqualified. He also admitted a charge of reset and having no insurance. The court heard the Volkswagen vehicle McClymont was driving was flagged up to police as stolen. The vehicle was noted to drive on a pavement. Prosecutor Emma Baker said, McClymont accelerated harshly and struck the near side of the police vehicle and a pursuit began. McClymont drove through roadworks, struck several cones and travelled over bumps at speed. Miss Baker stated McClymont drove in excess of 80 miles per hour, entered the opposite side of the road and overtook vehicles. He also failed to stop for a red traffic light and passed through it in excess of 70 miles per hour. Police then lost sight of the vehicle until another set of officers took over. He was seen to go the wrong side of the road and headed towards Cumbernauld Road. Blue lights and sirens were activated when McClymont drove at 70 miles per hour in a 30 zone before he made a sharp right turn. McClymont again overtook vehicles and went through a roundabout at speed. Miss Baker added, the vehicle broke harshly in an attempt to ram the pursuing police vehicle. Officers made contact with the rear off side of the vehicle and he continued at speed down Rob Royston Road. McClymont entered Rob Royston Park and continued along the public footpath while officers pursued him. Officers made tactical contact with McClymont's vehicle at a football park, but he carried on driving. McClymont then came to a stop in front of a tree which had fallen, exited the car and attempted to run off. He was captured and arrested when he then made the remark about a promotion while under caution. The hearing was told of an earlier incident at Springburn Health Centre where McClymont threatened to harm a doctor. He was not picked up for that incident until he was arrested for the driving matter. McClymont pleaded guilty to behaving in a threatening or abusive manner. Paul McHugh, defending, told the court, he recognises that custody will be the ultimate disposal here. This is serious offending. It was completely dangerous, and he is fortunate that there were not more serious consequences. Sheriff Ian Fleming jailed Dad of 3 McClymont for 16 months and disqualified him from driving for 4 years. He said, "This is the most appropriate sentence, as it is one of the most cases of dangerous driving, which is exacerbated by you being disqualified at the time. And that report was written by Connor Gordon. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 30th of April, from the news section. Minister visits Dogs Trust Glasgow Rehoming Centre to discuss welfare. This article is unattributed. A minister recently visited an animal shelter in Glasgow to discuss dog welfare issues. Jim Fairley MSP met with staff and current residents at the Dogs Trust Glasgow Rehoming Centre last week. During his visit, the Agriculture Minister was given a tour of the centre by Paula Boyden, Director of Dogs Trust Veterinary, and Claire Carney, Assistant Manager at the Glasgow Rehoming Centre. The MSP was then introduced to Border Collie Shadow, who is currently looking for her forever home. The charities team discussed with Mr Fairley about the centre's daily work caring for and rehabilitating and rehoming rescue dogs like Shadow, as well as issues such as inherited health issues. Mr Fairley said, "It was an absolute pleasure to meet with Paula and the team at the Glasgow Rehoming Centre. Seeing the care and dedication that all the staff put into their work was nothing short of inspiring. This government continues to take animal welfare very seriously. I welcomed the opportunity to talk to Dogs Trust staff to discuss how we can work together to ensure Scotland's high standards of animal welfare continue." Ms Boyden said the team was thrilled to welcome the Minister. She added, "It was great to have the opportunity to discuss current issues affecting dog welfare, including poor breeding practices, and extending current licensing legislation to include dogs related to industries such as dog walking and grooming. We are grateful to the Minister and the Scottish Government for their continued commitment to animal welfare and very much look forward to working together to improve the lives of dogs throughout Scotland." And that article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 30th of April, from the news section. More than 150 activities to be held for Glasgow Science Festival. Report by Charles Pring. Glasgow Science Festival is on the horizon again as the official programme was unveiled yesterday. Focusing on the theme of Glasgow's transforming, the festival will celebrate the city's long-standing position on the cutting edge of science and technology. The programme will feature representatives from UK universities, voluntary organisations and government bodies, leading more than 150 activities, talks, workshops and exhibitions between June the 6th and 16th. Events will take place in a range of famous buildings across the city, including the Riverside, Kelvin Grove and Ontario Museums, and the Botanic Gardens, as well as world-leading scientific facilities such as the University of Glasgow's new Mazum Darshaw Advanced Research Centre. One of the festival highlights is sure to be the outdoor cinema at St Mungo Square, showing Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity and a film screening of Disney Pixar's Lightyear, as well as a number of other science-related short films. The festival is the beneficiary of funding and support from the Scottish Government and the University of Glasgow. Richard Lochhead, Innovation Minister, said, "Glasgow is a centre of world-class science, innovation and research. The Science Festival celebrates that proud tradition and enables people to learn about and share in the city's new achievements. I hope it also inspires the next generation of scientists, engineers and mathematicians and entrepreneurs whose skills we will need as Scotland grows the sustainable industries of the future. That is why the Scottish Government is delighted to support this wonderful event and others like it right across the country." June also sees the return of the festival's Science on the Sofa programme, offering a selection of online educational activities which can be accessed from the festival's website. Topics covered will include dealing with plastic waste, tackling the threat of viruses making the jump from animals to humans, and how women are contributing to space research. And that article was by Charles Pring. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 30th of April, from the news section. Protesters vowed to stop the deportation of neighbours. Report by Kirsty Feerick. Activists vowed to try and stop the Home Office from deporting their neighbours in Easterhouse. Crowds gathered in Dunmelm Street yesterday after rumours circulated that asylum seekers would be getting sent to Rwanda. Migrants are to start being detained by the Home Office after the Rwanda Act was passed last week. Now residents are sending a message to the government as they rallied round to protect vulnerable neighbours. James Granleys, 29, who lives in the city centre of Glasgow, is a member of Stand Up to Racism and said, "We came today because we got word that asylum seekers are going to be rounded up and deported to Rwanda. We want to make it very clear, no matter where the Home Office is at, no matter where they want to deport our neighbours, we will be there. Just like we were in Kenmure Street and all across the country to make sure they can't get their hands on anyone. We will be here without fail every time to stand up for the most vulnerable in the community. We will make sure that this van does not leave the street with anyone in the back of it." Cheryl Govind, 32, is an East Hall resident who attended the protest. She said, "We heard there was a deportation potentially happening. We don't want to see that happen in our community. I wouldn't want it to happen to me or my mum, so we are here united together because division doesn't work." MP David Linden said, "My office was given a tip-off that there would be raids taking place in both Perth and Dunmelm Street. The scheme to deport people to Rwanda is one that Scotland does not support. We have opposed it at every single turn. We will make the case very forcefully today that deporting people to Rwanda is not the way forward. We will do everything we can to protect people." Dave Moxham, Deputy Head of the Scottish Trades Union Congress, STUC, said, "We heard there was a potential raid taking place which is part of the government's horrible, discredited and disgusting Rwanda scheme. Whether or not anything happens today, we are sending a message that we will be here when it happens and we will not let this disgusting activity take place on our streets." Anne McLaughlin, MP for Glasgow North East, said, "There were some strong rumours the Home Office was coming to get rid of asylum seekers and threatened to take them to Rwanda. People are anxious. We don't want to put fear and alarm into people unnecessarily, but we want them to know it's happening. We need the Home Office to know we will be here to protect people. This is a message to the Home Office and to anyone who is worried about this." A Home Office spokesperson said, "Now that the Safety of Rwanda Act has passed and our treaty with Rwanda has been ratified, the government is entering the final phase of operationalising this landmark policy to tackle illegal migration and stop the boats. At some stage, inevitably, this will include detaining people in preparation for the first flight, which is set to take off in Rwanda in 10 to 12 weeks. It would be inappropriate to comment further on operational activity." And that article was written by Kirsty Feerick and read by me, Ian McKenna.
Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 30th of April, from the opinion section. It is demoralising and infuriating to witness decline of Glasgow. It is demoralising and infuriating to witness the continued decline of Glasgow's built heritage. Almost every month it seems that a fire or structural collapse condemns another irreplaceable part of the city's identity. The famous poet and architectural conservation pioneer John Betjeman described Glasgow in the 1960s as the greatest Victorian city in the world. Despite the lacerating loss of thousands of Victorian buildings in the half-century since, Glasgow still holds that title and continues to have some of the world's most influential and architecturally significant buildings that have made a powerful impression on each of our lives. Whether that be studying in the soaring library of Glasgow School of Art's Mackintosh building as a teenager, or exploring the red sandstone wonder of Kelvingrove Art Gallery for the first time as a child, our built heritage is very much part of every Glaswegian's sense of themselves. However, walking around Glasgow, it doesn't take long before you come across a familiar building that is going to rack and ruin, with signs of obvious long-term neglect. For more than a year, I have been raising the sorry state of the listed India buildings on Bridge Street with Glasgow City Council officials, encouraging them to serve a compulsory purchase order on the formal Sloan and Company drapery warehouse of 1876, and the 3 other listed buildings at risk on the block, and to turn them over to a new owner with the resources to restore and convert them into housing. Unfortunately, the damage from the latest roof collapse is now so bad that demolition is all but inevitable. The best we can probably hope for is to salvage some of the stonework from the facade. The India buildings, like the burned-out shell of the Mac, have imprinted numerous individual memories and personal milestones for Glaswegians. Alex Kapranos, lead singer and guitarist in the band Franz Ferdinand, noted that in their formative years, the India building served as the band's access to the old rooftop garment factory behind it that they called the Chateau, where they put on their legendary early gigs. The built environment is at the heart of what makes our city unique, but we seem to be incapable of rising to the scale of the challenge of ensuring it is protected. The impending demise of the India buildings is not an isolated blow. Glasgow has more listed buildings on the Buildings at Risk register than any other city in Scotland. Around 100 such buildings across the city need urgent attention to secure the future. But it is like pulling teeth trying to get the council to step up and get a grip of the situation by using its statutory powers to enforce repairs. Ironically, as it is the single biggest owner of the city's most at-risk heritage buildings, and its planning department has borne the brunt of the decimation of the city's budget by central government over the last decade. Many of the other buildings at risk have absentee overseas owners that are near impossible to track down, or simply couldn't care less that their derelict building is blighting our city. In fact, they probably think that a demolished and cleared site is worth more to their property portfolio. Carlton Place Terrace by the River Clyde, and just 1 block away from the India buildings, is another grim example of what has come to be accepted in Glasgow, a row of Georgian townhouses that has spiralled into dereliction after the Prince and Princess of Wales Hospice moved out 5 years ago, only narrowly escaping destruction by fire 3 months ago. A grand new town terrace like this in Edinburgh would be consulates or desirable homes. But in Glasgow's Lauriston, it has been left to rot and no enforcement action is taken against the negligent owner. There is no lack of public and professional concern for the demise of the city's architecture. I hear it all the time from constituents, but there is a lack of capacity in the council to use the powers at its disposal, whether that be compulsory purchase orders or listed building repairs notices, at the scale necessary to halt the degradation of our built environment. This is compounded by the failure of the Scottish Government to introduce an additional power to enforce compulsory sales orders, which was first proposed a decade ago but has never materialised. Glasgow has the most complete Victorian street grid in the world. It is imperative we do not allow the seminal works of the likes of Charles Rennie Mackintosh and Alexander Thomson to disappear. We must also leverage the huge economic opportunity of bringing more than 2 million square feet of disused city centre floor space back into productive use, which is enough to fill New York's Empire State Building. Glasgow is in the midst of a housing emergency, and retrofitting the 400 empty office buildings in the city centre is an obvious part of the solution to increase the city's housing stock at pace. We know what the solutions are, so it's now time for all of us with leadership roles in the city and Parliament to put our collective shoulders to the wheel and make it a reality before we lose more of our city's soul to the wrecking ball. That was an article by Paul Sweeney.
From Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 1st of May, Lifestyle section, 80s rock band Mike and the Mechanics heading to Glasgow by Morgan Carmichael. An 80s rock band are heading to Glasgow as part of their UK tour next year. Mike and the Mechanics, formed by former Genesis star Mike Rutherford, will be playing a show at Glasgow's Royal Concert Hall on Monday, March the 3rd. Formed in 1985 and consisting of Gary Wallace, Pink Floyd, Andrew Rochford, known for his 1989 hit Cuddly Toy, Tim Hoover, Anthony Drennan, The Corrs, and Luke Dubé. The band will also visit the likes of Edinburgh and Aberdeen on the Looking Back, Living the Years tour. Speaking of the tour, Mike Rutherford said, "It's exciting to announce that we will be touring the Mechanics again. Getting back on the road with the guys last year was a real pleasure. Even though it had been 4 years, we slotted back into the old ways, the old jokes, and the camaraderie like it had been a day. We had so much fun on the last tour, and the audiences were so gracious and warm. When we played the final show in Dusseldorf, we all agreed then that we wanted to do it all again. We can't wait to see you." Tickets for the Glasgow show will go on sale on Friday, May the 3rd. That article was written by Morgan Carmichael. From Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 1st of May, Lifestyle section, Bradley Walsh lets slip massive secret about the chase, by Andrew Smart. Bradley Walsh has let slip a massive backstage secret about the chase that may leave fans shocked. The popular ITV game show sees contestants go head-to-head with chasers Mark Labette, Jenny Ryan, Anne Hegarty, Paul Sinner, Sean Wallace and Dara Ennis for huge cash prizes. Show host Bradley revealed to fans that he loves winding up the chasers during filming, saying that a bit of self-depreciating humour never hurt anybody. However, he revealed that the comebacks and witty quips from the chasers don't always come naturally. Despite the tense atmosphere in the chase, Bradley Walsh likes to keep the show light by teasing the chasers. He admits, "I love winding them all up," adding, "The one I have most fun with is Sean, the Dart Destroyer. It's because we both love our football. We're exactly the same age. Well, he's 2 days older than me. I just adore him." Discussing the comebacks he receives from the chasers, he told the Mirror, "They sort of have pops at me, but a bit of self-depreciating humour never hurt anybody." He then revealed that the chasers get a little help backstage to go toe-to-toe with him, telling fans, "We've got a writer called Adam Bostock Smith. He writes their gags to have a go at me. Some of them are really funny. It actually makes me laugh. We know it's just banter. There's no point in getting yourself wound up like some presenters I know who are just so pretentious. It's frightening." Revealing the celebrities he would love to come on the star-studded version of the show, Bradley said he would like to see Rick Astley, Hannah Waddingham and Danny Jones compete. That article was written by Andrew Smart.
This is from the Glasgow Times on the 1st of May 2024. From the news section, and the headline reads, "Girl, 12, in hospital, following hit and run in Wishaw." This article was by Morgan Carmichael. A 12-year-old has been taken to hospital following a hit and run. The girl was struck at around 4:30 p.m. on Cambus Neaton Street, near the roundabout with Kirk Road, on April 19th. She was later taken to Wishaw General Hospital, where she received treatment for facial injuries. The police are now looking for witnesses to the incident, which involved a silver 3-door Vauxhall Corsa hatchback, which failed to stop at the scene. Constable Paul Taylor said, "We are appealing for anyone who may have witnessed this collision and is yet to speak to officers to please get in touch. In particular, we would ask people with private CCTV or dashcam footage of the surrounding area on the afternoon of Friday, 19th of April, to check in case they have captured a silver Vauxhall Corsa. Anyone with information is asked to contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 2562 of Friday, April 19th, 2024. This article was by Morgan Carmichael. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 1st of May 2024. From the news section, and headline reads, "Glasgow EasyJet flight diverts due to disruptive passengers." This article was by Morgan Carmichael. A flight departing from Glasgow was diverted due to disruptive passengers. EasyJet flight EZY3165 was travelling from Glasgow to Hurghada on April 29th, when it was diverted to Heraklion after 2 passengers were behaving disruptively on board the aircraft. The pair were met by police officers after the aircraft landed in Heraklion. The flight then continued to Hurghada once the passengers were removed. Speaking on the incident, a spokesperson for EasyJet said, EasyJet can confirm that flight EZY3165 from Glasgow to Hurghada on April 29th diverted to Heraklion, where the craft was met by police due to 2 passengers behaving disruptively on board. The flight then continued to Hurghada once the passengers were removed. EasyJet's cabin crew are trained to assess and evaluate all situations and to act quickly and appropriately to ensure that the safety of the flight and other passengers is not compromised at any time. While such incidents are rare, we take them very seriously and do not tolerate disruptive behaviour on board. The safety and well-being of passengers and crew is always EasyJet's highest priority. This article was by Morgan Carmichael.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service.